We had three previous sessions. Shankar spoke about WSO2 Integrator and what's new in WSO2 Integrator. Then Manu spoke about Devant. Uh, Finally, Isuru spoke about migration. So I'm going to coalesce all of that and explain why those integration matters and why those integrations actually give your enterprise wings, hence the topic integration that gives your enterprise wings. So when we talk about wings or when we hear the word wings, we either think birds' feathers or airplanes' wings. But I'm going to take airplanes' wings as the metaphor here and explain why integration and enterprises need wings to take off, and as wings are important for airplanes to take off as well. But do only wings help airplanes take off? No, right? So when it comes to an airplane, you have lots of other components that work in unison to lift it off and also help it fly, right? For example, it has the rudder that will give the vertical stability, like vertical yaw. It has the turbine engine that gives the thrust. Then the cockpit is also important where you do command and control, right? And there is fuel storage, fuel age, and so forth, right? So all of this needs to work together or integrated together to make an airplane really fly. So in my example, the airplane is a similitude to your enterprise, and we'll see why integration is a very important topic when it comes to making your enterprises fly. Right. So modern enterprises are distributed, multi-cloud enabled, and data rich, and that we all know about it, right? So it's a very complex system where you see a lot of applications are distributed, infrastructure is distributed, you have data centers sometimes in cloud infrastructure, networking topologies, all of that. So this distributed nature makes integration a very important aspect because that's how you can get more value to your consumers. For example, for you to give digital experience for your consumers, you need all of these integrated to break out the silos. So integration is certainly is the invisible lift that gives your enterprise the agility, speed, and direction. And now I'm going to try relate all of these to how WSO2 Integrator has functionalities and all those things that you heard from Shankar, Manu, and Isuru, and see how that helps an enterprise do those digital transformation and modernization, which is the theme of this conference, right? Okay, so when it comes to integration, there are typically, if you look at, there are three main stages, right? So for example, you have to design an integration, you have to look at what's there in your platform already, think about various different use cases, and design your architecture, and then develop. Isuru spoke about that in migration aspect, but that's there even if you start with a greenfield project or in a brownfield project, right? So design and developing is something that you need to think of. That's one stage. And then once you design and develop, you have to take it to somewhere to run that integration, and that place or that aspect is called usually deploy and operate. And then finally, that's not the end of the story, right? Because you need to keep observing your integration, how it performs, and then optimize it as well. Like you have to make refinements because nothing is set in stone. Like you will not be done with your integration. Even if there is a project that lasts for 6 months, you will not be done in 6 months, right? So even if you complete your project, you will have to make refinements. There will be business requirements coming in over and over again, and as that happens, you will have to refine and optimize it. Right. So let's discuss about design and develop stage first, right? And again, this slide you would have seen multiple times in our track and other sessions as well. So you have to identify your common integration scenarios when it comes to designing your integrations, right? First of all, what we see as integration entails in enterprises is like highly, like very on a very high level, can be categorized into these things like automations, AI agents, because AI is now very important topic. Like a lot of organizations, a lot of enterprises are making use of AI to create very unique digital experience for their customers. And integration as APIs, APIs had always been a backbone of integrations and for over a decade now. And events are there as well as files, right? So all of these things you need to consider when it comes to integration scenarios. And it's important to look at these scenarios and see what kind of products, integration vendors you need to look at. WSO2 is definitely one of that, and that's why we're talking about all of this, right? And at the design stage, your integration should support various aspects like integration patterns, various different architectural styles, and also you will have to draw up in a business architecture and then come to your integration architecture and so forth, right? So when it comes to modernizing your integration strategy and your integration for your enterprise to get wings, the product that you choose or the platform that you choose should support variety of integration scenarios and architectural styles. You sort of spoke about integration, ESB style architecture, microservices style architecture, but there are more, right? Like event-driven architecture, streaming architecture, integration patterns, and so forth. So you have to choose, like wisely choose a technology that can cater to all of these different requirements. And WSO2 integrator is, it has all the functionality that is listed here for you to get that modernization journey on your enterprises. So, for example, I don't know why that is white color, but what was there is basically low code, pro code, AI assisted development. So WSO2 has that right now. Our WSO2 integrator coding aspect or the tooling aspect gives you the ability to write your integration in an AI assisted manner, right? So AI assisted manner means like you get the help of AI or augment AI, AI augmentation for your developers. Your developers will not be replaced by AI anytime soon, but it can definitely help your developers to get your integration use cases done faster. So today, all the enterprises are in a huge competition. Like who gets what first into the market, they win most of the time, right? So and it's important for you to for ideation phase or the time that you bring an idea and to the time that you take to bring that to the market is very important. And AI is definitely going to help you there, because previously if something had taken you 2 weeks, most probably with AI's help you can now do that in fraction of time, like maybe 1/3 of the time, right? So it depends on the use case as well. So WSO2 supports that. And decades ago, developers used to write or implement integration using coding, basically pro code manner, conventional programming language. And then the industry saw a change where a lot of enterprises moved into some technologies called low code or no code kind of platforms, where people avoided pro code like a plague, right? But what we think is like most of the time re-emergence of technologies over and over again, right? Now, for example, AI is not a new thing. It has been there in 1960s, but it went on a silent phase. A lot of development happened, and now it has come back to the forefront. Likewise, coding is always been there, right? And developers like that aspect of integration development as well. So we believe low code as well as pro code is something relevant even today, and that's why WSO2's tooling aspect gives that ability to you. You can develop your integration in a low code manner, as well as whenever needed you can switch to the pro code manner, and both will be in parity. And AI assisted data mapping, again, this is just one functionality of AI, like we spoke about, and we did some demonstrations yesterday as well. And think about giving your AI the context that it needs, like additional information, like what kind of rules in your business that you want these mappings to happen, and it understands that magically and does this mapping quite easily. Like especially when you have hundreds of fields on the left side and hundreds of fields on the right side, it's going to take a lot of time. So this one area where you can save a lot of time. And similarly, AI-assisted testing. It's very important that you do testing. Like as you develop integrations, you don't want to ship that to production unless you have done the thorough testing. People have been doing testing, great, but when it comes to automated testing, developers have always taken a back step most of the time. But with AI coming into the picture now, that step can also be like covered with AI, and you can generate automated testing with the help of AI, and you can use that when you modify your code as well as you do refinement as well. And simplified but powerful debugging, that is important. Even when something is running live and something goes wrong, you should be able to like sneak into that and see what's going on, right? Such as what are the variables that's maybe causing a problem. You need to like sneak in at that point and see the context of that running system. So that's basically debugging. Like even in a flight, sometimes something goes wrong, control center might connect to that flight remotely and look at various things. Just like that, you should be able to debug remotely as well, right? And get a better view of what's going on, and make necessary changes happen as well. And also, as I spoke, like in a airplane, you have different systems, and all of those systems needs to work together. And at the same time, you need to be able to plug in systems as well, and you need to, when it comes to integration, you need to be able to connect to different systems. And that's where with WSO2 integrator, we have, like previously also we spoke about having lots of connectors, and having such connectors help somebody develop integrations quite easily and fastly, right? And you should be able to create connectors also, because when it comes to enterprise systems, there are, if thousands of systems available in the market, right? And obviously we will not have connectors for all of that, but as and when such requirements come, we will develop that, WSO2 will develop that. But you should also be having the capability to create your own connectors as well. To do that thing, WSO2 has also given a capability. For example, if that system has a open API specification, or a web services description language specification for a SOAP service, for example, you should be able to create such connectors quite easily with giving that URL, and you will have a new button showing up here with that connector, just like something that WSO2 has provided. And it's that easy. But before that capability was available, it would have been a mundane coding approach is what you would have taken to build connectors. So that capability is also there. And also the new hype is about AI, right? So now we spoke about AI assisted development, which is to AI being an augmentation tool for you to develop. But AI goes beyond that. When it comes to AI integration, you should now think about creating intelligent applications. Shafrin is going to talk about AI in detail in the next session, so he will go on to talk about that further. But WSO2 already has capabilities and has the framework to do that thing. For example, to connect with your knowledge bases, and those knowledge bases usually end up in Pinecore, VV8, or PostgreSQL, like vector databases. I think Manu also spoke about that. And you should be able to connect to different LLMs. Again, the connector story circles back here, because those connectors that WSO2 has are part of the connector framework that we have. And on the left, you see the agents. The agents are the framework that gives you the ability to create intelligent applications, right? So basically, this one is a framework to create chat agents, where you will be able to connect to LLMs, and also give tools for you to operate on. And obviously the input for this will come in different forms. As Shankar mentioned, it could be as an API call, or through an event, right? And based on that, because the input can vary, and that's where this AI is considered as a better option for non-deterministic tasks, because your input can vary every time, right? And then based on that, it can take actions. And so WSO2 integrator has the capability to do that. And the second one, so we discussed about design and develop, so that part is done. And now when it comes to deploy and operate, it's very important. Once you finish the work, you need to take it to the runtime, wherever it is, right? And WSO2's deployment options, you see again, we spoke about this previously as well. We have the option to do the deployment on-prem. We know in enterprises there are various requirements. Sometimes for data compliance requirements, regulatory requirements, you sometimes can go to cloud like iPaaS or even a private cloud. Then you want to have everything restricted within your data centers, your premises, and so forth, right? So WSO2's integrator product has the capability to do that deployment for you. And there's, iPaaS is something new, like as we showed Devant, we introduced it uh, within this year, right? And like if you want to, you can take it there. And iPaaS is basically a deployment that is managed by WSO2. It's a cloud-based environment, and we have hosted that in US as well as in Europe, as Shankar mentioned. So that's there. But if you also want to go to a private integration cloud, like you want to have a dedicated environment for you, without being things being shared, like in an iPaaS, for example, the control plane and things like that, as well as you don't want to manage things by yourself, such as in an on-prem, we have the option of going with the private integration cloud as well. So multiple deployment options, and choose a technology that can give all these flexibilities for you. And WSO2 is definitely one of that, right? And so this is just a high-level architecture of the iPaaS thing, how things work. For example, how you strategize your integration, and then business architecture, and how you bring that to a running environment. And none of these are managed by you mostly, and it will be managed by, let's say, if you subscribe to Devant, for example, all of this will be managed by WSO2. And your code, you just need to point out, for example, that code means either your WSO2 integrator BI code or MI code. You will host that in a GitHub repository, or you can develop that in the web editor also, like we showed, like Manu showed. We have the web editor which is in beta, and which we will make it available very soon, and you'll be able to develop within the browser itself. But end of the day, you will finally put that in a code repository, and then off you go. Like all the build process, release process, running process, all of that happens, and that is being taken care by the iPaaS itself. And within the iPaaS, you will have multiple environments. For example, in the cloud, we will provide some default environments, but if you want more environments, you have the ability to create your own private data planes as well, like in Azure, AWS, or in GCP, and some other options that's there. And those can be managed by WSO2 also, right? So those options are there. And so basically that's deployment. And then we come to the observe and optimization step, right? And so observability is important. Like as things are running, you should know like what's happening underneath, like how many requests are you getting, what's the error rate is like, okay, and how long the latency is when it comes to a particular request. And so as I mentioned, we have the option of running the integrator on-prem, as well as we have the iPaaS option. In terms of running things on-prem, we have the ability to connect with some third-party systems, like because we support the standard called Open Telemetry. And for that, obviously, you can integrate with tools like Prometheus, Grafana, Elastic stack and so forth, right? And as Shankar mentioned, we have WSO2 has acquired this company called Mosif, and they also have the ability to do some observability aspects, and we are working on some stuff on that side as well. And yeah, so and observability in the cloud is something you don't need to worry about because it comes packaged. You get it by default, right? So in Devant, for example, when you create your microservices, all of that, you will see a graphical view on how things work together, like how microservices get requests in between. For example, here you see a thicker line indicating, okay, there is a higher traffic flowing through these two microservices, and this line seems to be little thinner, which means you see a lesser traffic there, and obviously you get logs as well. So all of these are provided for you in the cloud environment. So that capability is there. So the point that I want to make here is the flexibility that you get, different options that you get with a platform like this, and obviously other thing is the usage insights, not particularly observability, but analytics when it comes to various things like the number of requests that you get, the latency and stuff that I mentioned previously. So all of that is important as well. But the final one is the optimizing stage and refining stage, as I mentioned, right? So that's important. For example, as you go on to deploy something and run with it, you will eventually have to make changes. And so these changes can be brought into the running system in when you have like proper CI/CD processes in place, and your technology should support that. And WSO2's integrator and the related technologies, like even Devant, you have CI/CD like inbuilt, but if you're using it in on-prem, you will have to build that CI/CD capability. But we have the necessary building blocks for you to implement your CI/CD quite easily. So that part is covered there as well. But then Isuru covered about in migration, you should be able to do some best practices that is followed in the industry, like this blue-green deployment, Canary deployment, rolling update deployment, all of that. In on-prem case, you'll have to manage all of this, but in the case of cloud, like in the iPaaS, all of this is in a way provided to you. Now let's see how that, for example, when it comes to this multi-environment, multi-version support, you'll be able to apply this migration or rolling updates on your refinement process, right? And as you do build, deploy, test, commit, over and over again, because iPaaS provide you this pipeline, you will be able to have multiple versions of your integrations running, which will give you the ability to do rolling update and do Canary type of deployments for you to provide a very restricted set of people to use some versions, and main users using the main branch, for example. So that capability is inbuilt, and with the multiple environment support, you can easily incorporate blue-green type of deployments when it comes to incorporating new changes or like bringing in new updates. So overall, my point about this talk is with for digitalization purposes, your integration should support all of these aspects, starting from designing and developing, deployment and operations, and then observing and optimizing. So all of this consider when you choose your integration technology for your digital transformation journey. And yeah, so that all of that together will help you fly high and will give wings for you. And I want to end up with that note. Thank you very much.